Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Wrap, brought to you by Michigan Medicine Headlines. I'm Dan Ellman with the Department of Communication.
And I'm Dan's co-host for the day, Brandon Byer, back for my second attempt at hosting. Today, we're going to discuss the Black Voices Resource Group at Michigan Medicine and why it's so important.
Now, before we get into that conversation, be sure you get caught up on all the important episodes of The Wrap you may have missed. You can find the shows on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or any other podcast hosting platform. You can also find episodes on the Michigan Medicine YouTube channel and as part of the Headlines Week in Review.
With that, let's welcome our guests, two leaders within the Black Voices Resource Group, Steve Vinson and LaTanya Berryhill. First off, can the two of you introduce yourselves and explain your role within the organization?
Thank you, Brandon. My name is LaTanya Berryhill. I am the Managing Director for Operations for the Michigan Institute for Clinical and Health Research, and I co-lead the Black Voices Resource Group with Steve.
Thank you, LaTanya. Thank you for having us. My name is Steve Vinson. I am a DEI Program Manager for Ambulatory Care, and I co-lead Black Voices Resource Group with LaTanya Berryhill.
Outstanding. Now, as Brandon mentioned, and Steve, you just mentioned as well, you two are here representing that Black Voices Resource Group. Could you share more about the activities and the initiatives of the resource group and what you guys do?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for asking. I think it's based on really the premise of improving the well-being and the health of Black employees at Michigan Medicine and making sure that experience is as fulfilling as possible. So there are several things that we do in order to kind of uplift the voice of Black employees at Michigan Medicine. A couple of things that we like to do is really make sure that we have mentorship in that space. So we've asked Black leaders to come and share some of their experiences, some of their challenges, and how they've overcome them. We've had some guest speakers come to that space and talk about things like mental health awareness. We've also really, I think, centered social connection and being in community. So there's really been a lot of conversations, folks sharing their shared experiences with respect to navigating the University of Michigan or Michigan Medicine. So there's a lot of really social connection that's a part of Black Voices as well.
Yeah, and I can add one of the things I think has also been really good is we provide resources for the community. So if someone comes to us and they're looking for advice or suggestions, we have linked them with the Ombuds Office or Human Resources or different mentors who may be past Steve and I to really try to make sure that they are aware of the resources that are available to them and really try to make connections within that community as well.
If I could just add one more thing, back when AROC was getting started and really we were at the height of the growth of AROC, and Black Voices provided a lot of feedback to AROC, to our Anti-Racism Oversight Committee, and there was a strong partnership at that time in terms of really, I think, elevating some of the concerns of Black employees and bringing them to the forefront as we did our anti-racism work. So there's partnerships that go on with respect to our resource group and other institutional organizational initiatives and programs.
Wonderful. And so with all that important work going on, who can join the group?
The group is open to any Michigan Medicine faculty, staff, or learner. We really welcome anyone to join. We think that as we build that community, we want our allies in the room, we want the Black community in the room, and anyone else who wants to be a part of our membership. We really encourage them to come to a meeting, reach out to Steve or I if they want to kind of talk through what are the meetings like. And so it's open to anyone at Michigan Medicine.
Yeah, so I think the question, if one of our listeners is interested in joining the group, sort of what's in it for them? What would they get out of it if they do, like, as you mentioned, LaTanya, go to a meeting? What will they get out of it? And I know that's sort of a loaded question, right? I mean, there's so much, but maybe you can just dive into that a little bit.
I think one of the things that they're going to get out of it, as Steve mentioned earlier, is community. I think we've really done a great job of building community within our group. We've had people reach out who are not necessarily in the Black community who wanted to learn more, right? Like, what is your group about? What are you doing? Is it okay for me to join? I don't, identify as Black. Is it still okay for me to come? And so I think we've had really powerful conversations with people who want to be allies and they want to learn and they want to support us. And so I think that's been really powerful for me, like learning and understanding, like, where are they coming from, and what do they want to learn, and how do they really want to be an ally. So I think that's been, for me, one of the really great things. But I think you're going to get community, you're going to get the opportunity to learn. You're, like Steve said, right here for some of our leaders around the institution, and just really be able to build fellowship and community. I think one of the things that we've heard before from some of our Black colleagues is they may be the only one in their space, right? They may only be one or a couple. And so I think it's an opportunity for them to be around other people that are identify as Black and really get to know, like, the community is larger than what you may see in your individual unit.
Yeah, and if I can add on to that, first to speak to the allyship that LaTanya mentioned, and we've really seen folks coming from different places and different backgrounds with respect to that allyship. So it could be some folks who are also underrepresented in marginalized groups, but we've also had some folks who are white, who come from that social background, who want to join the group as an ally as well. So we've seen kind of that allyship come from different spaces and different backgrounds. I think in terms of kind of going back to the question, though, what does the Black Voices group provide participants in terms of our membership? I think safety and comfort, belonging, a sense of belonging when you look at our base priorities, particularly that B, thinking about our core values at Michigan Medicine, specifically, I think caring and inclusion. I think our folks will say that they feel that this is a brave space when they come into that. And certainly there are differences of opinions in our group, right? We're not a monolith, and we don't all share the same opinion, but I think there's comfort and psychological safety in terms of sharing difference. And I think our job, LaTanya and I, in our steering committee, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention their contributions to this group as well. But what we need to do as leaders of the group is continue to create that space where folks feel welcome to speak their truth. And that's, I think, one of the major goals is that making sure that folks feel that they can be their authentic selves in Black Voices and feel it naturally without question.
So Stephen, LaTanya, you've been in the leadership of the Black Voices Resource Group for a while now. So what have been sort of the successes, the biggest successes, and some of your greatest challenges so far?
I'm happy to start on that one. I think the social connections probably has definitely been one of the biggest successes so far. We've done some activities called Verses in the past, and one of our co-leads of the group, Stephanie, does a great job. It's really been music based, and so she'll create one song versus another song, and then we vote. We do a Zoom poll, who prefers. So it could be like Michael Jackson versus Prince song, and who prefers the various songs. We've also done kind of like favorite foods. Or favorite restaurants, Qdoba versus Chipotle, best pizza, best chicken sandwich, Popeyes versus what's that other chicken sandwich? Chick-fil-A, right? Popeyes versus Chick-fil-A. So we've done a lot of fun competition like that, and I think thank you, LaTanya. The group definitely looks forward to doing some of those fun activities. But yeah, a lot of social activities and connections certainly has been a success. I know we're going to talk about Juneteenth a little bit later, so I'll wait to expand on that. But that was definitely a success this year, and I know LaTanya has some things to share as well.
I think one of our other successes were for this year's Black History Month. We highlighted Black excellence at Michigan Medicine, and so we were able to, with Brandon, your help, spotlight some of our colleagues and the work that they've done at Michigan Medicine. And I think that was just wonderful for us to be able to spotlight them and to give them their flowers in front of all of the Michigan Medicine community. I think that was, for me, one of the really shining points that we've done this year.
I think one more success, and this actually ties into the challenges as well that LaTanya and I might talk about. But we were able to connect with some on-site groups, logistical services, environmental services, some folks who, for really, since we started this group, we really haven't been able to establish a connection with. And so we attended the town halls of this group. And in addition to us, Black Voices, going to those groups, talking to them about Black Voices, what we offer, the benefits of our resource group, we are also able to open up space for the other Michigan Medicine resource groups. So each group had an opportunity to go to the three kind of town halls that logistical services and EVS have on a monthly basis and present it to those folks. So establishing that connection, meeting those folks where they're at, I would say was also a success.
So I assume, based on what you're saying a little bit, that one of the biggest challenges is getting the word out there to 30,000 plus employees, right? That this resource group is available to them. Would you say that's one of your biggest challenges? And what are some others that you could touch on?
Yeah, I would say that's definitely been one of the biggest challenges is, some of us are privileged where we can jump on a Zoom call. And then we have those who are not able. And so how do we reach them? How do we connect with them? Going to their town hall was great, but we want to continue to think about how can we continue to engage them? Are there other opportunities for us to make sure that they know about our resource group and other resource groups? Because we want to make sure they have that opportunity to connect as well. But also in general, getting the word out, growing our membership has been one of the things that I think we have talked about and we continue to talk about, and what are those ways that we can really continue to grow and make sure that people are aware that our resource group is there. I think we want to make sure that, from day one, right, with working with human resources, how do they make sure that they're sharing the information about all of the resource groups as well? I know some of our departments are doing that. We've connected with some people who want information on the resource group so they can build it into their onboarding to make sure that people are aware from the very beginning that the resource groups are out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for this question. We recently joined kind of a national employee resource group consultation kind of collaborative network called Verbate. And LaTanya and I both attended kind of this first kind of group community dialogue session last Friday. And in that meeting, what we heard was very similar to what others are experiencing, I think, across this country. And this is a national organization, actually global. Again, what we're challenged with is not isolated. Getting consistent participation, getting engagement across the board, making sure that the employees feel empowered to join is a challenge. And, I think healthcare is a particularly challenging environment, right? When you're talking about patient care or education and research, our mission, it's difficult for folks to feel like that they can participate. It's difficult for management to feel like they can enable their staff to participate. So that is definitely a challenge for us. And I think the other thing, and thankfully OHE has, I think, been helpful with respect to this is just resources, financial and otherwise, getting that investment, right? If you want to make significant change, you do have to invest in these resource groups. And I know funds are limited, and I know there are budget constraints. But again, recently, I think OHE has been helpful with respect to making sure that there are some funds available to help resources our resource group. So that has been both a challenge, but I think recently we've seen some improvement and some help with respect to that.
That's awesome. All right, so we've done a lot of looking back and talking about the resource group in general. Let's look forward. What are some of the exciting projects that both of you are, excited about as we move ahead?
I can start with this, and I'll just really build on what we did, Daniel and Brandon, with respect to Juneteenth. And again, thank you all with respect to your help for that. So we had, I think, our first Michigan Medicine intentional Juneteenth recognition and celebration since, I think, 2020. And what we did was we shared a movie called The Cost of Inheritance, which was actually co-produced and co-created by the Center for Social Solutions out of the School of LS&A on our campus. And it was a documentary about an hour on reparations that really talked about the complexity of reparations with respect to our country in general. But how we tried to frame it with respect to our conversation is reparations in the form of health equity. So how can we, from a Michigan Medicine perspective, look at reparations in terms of our community health and our infrastructure and our resources? And that was really the basis of our conversation. What would reparations look like in the public health or the healthcare space? And we really had, I think, an example of that when you look at our AROC work and you look at what we're doing with respect to Ypsilanti Health Center. We're doing an upgrade with respect to Ypsilanti. We're moving into a new, bigger, and better building. We're expanding services, specialty services, X-ray. We have a mobile mammography unit out there, and really, I think, looking to increase and elevate the resources and the healthcare that we're providing for that community, which is notoriously been underrepresented. So that is actually an example of of reparations. It doesn't necessarily have to come in the form of cash payments. So looking at how we can partner and provide, I think, better healthcare for a community is a form of reparations, and continuing to build on that, I think, is something that we're definitely looking forward to.
One of the other things we're going to do is we're going to have our first in-person social gathering this summer. So we're looking forward to that. Everything that we've done up until our Juneteenth celebration has been virtual. And so we're looking forward to getting the group together. Many of us have never seen each other in person. And so it will be great to kind of have that moment where we can all be in person together and celebrate the 4 years that our group has been together, and then kind of think about what's next. And so we'll be talking to our group over the next couple of months about what are the things that we want to do moving forward. We have plans to do more things around Black History Month, really, once again, celebrating those individuals at Michigan Medicine, but also we've talked about some type of a conference that we can do. So we're kind of in the early stages of understanding and seeing if we can do a conference, but I think that's one of the things that our group has also wanted to do, but also, once again, bringing in our Black leaders and different leaders around Michigan Medicine to connect with the group as well.
Yeah, Latanya, you when you were answering, it made me think of one other thing that we're looking forward to doing, which is a partnership with Beam next year. And Beam is the Black Employee Association of Michigan overall, right? The University of Michigan. And so what we're thinking about doing next year, or what we're definitely going to do, and we've talked about, we've had several meetings, is partnering with Beam next year on a health and wellness kind of series that is framed around our healthy dimensions of well-being, which there are 8. And so what we really want to do is focus and specifically target 3 or 4 of those health dimensions, and have a series of events in conjunction, in partnership with Beam next year. Some of those events will be in person, some of those will be virtual, but really looking forward to bring our kind of 2 affinity groups together for Michigan Medicine and Central Campus, and bringing those communities together around the premise of health and wellness and well-being of our community.
So, Steve, you mentioned the cost of inheritance presentation and discussion as something that was centered around Juneteenth this year. Do you have any? So, could you maybe reflect on the importance of Juneteenth and why it's important to celebrate, and if there's any other things that occurred that you'd like to highlight? Just go into that for a few minutes.
Yeah, thank you, Brandon. And that's definitely a loaded question, and I don't think we have enough time to really dive into all the details of why it's important. What I will say and recognize is that there has been, I believe, tremendous progress, not only nationally with respect to Juneteenth becoming a national holiday, but just with respect to our campus. I've been at Michigan Medicine a long time, almost 30 years. And I can certainly say that, 10 years ago, we didn't talk about Juneteenth. And now we have campus celebrations, we have Michigan Medicine recognitions, awareness, we have opportunities for education, we have things like this, right? A podcast talking about our resource group in Juneteenth. So although we still have some work to do, I think there's been significant progress with respect to how we recognize, how we celebrate, how we bring awareness with respect to Juneteenth. And we're just looking forward to that growing over the next couple of years.
Yeah, thank you so much for that reflection. Latanya, I don't know if there's anything you want to add, sort of if you have any personal reflections on Juneteenth and sort of the rise in fortunately in the popularity of it and the amount that we are celebrating and discussing it.
Yeah, I think, I've been here not as long as Steve, but I've been here for a while. And definitely, I think, we are starting to do more nationally. We are starting to do more on this campus. And I think that's really, really great. I'm a part of the campus Juneteenth committee that Rachel Dawson leads. And the work that they've done has just been tremendous. This year, we had amazing speakers come in and really talked about, through the arts, right? Like, how are you being an activist through the arts? And we had wonderful speakers. We had a block party, a celebration to end the 2 days that we had. And it was just really powerful to think about like where we've come, but we need to continue to think about where are we going. And so I think we bring great speakers in that give us information, but now like how do we take that information and continue to move forward on our campus? What is the continued work that we need to do? And so I think that we've got work to do, but I also always want to pause and celebrate the work that we're doing because it was truly a wonderful celebration and great activities that we had for those 2 days on campus. But also, I think the celebration that we had for Michigan Medicine was also something that we want to pause and celebrate and be really thankful for the people who came. And so just publicly want to thank them for their support and being there for us.
Yeah, thank you, Latanya. And I think we would be remiss not to mention the leadership who were there to support the campus events, right? Our provost, our chief diversity officer, but also, shout out to Dr. David Miller, who attended our campus events. Dr. Brown was there as well. So it's important for our leadership to be, I think, in attendance and support. Because that I think really opens up, I think the pathway and the door for others who may not be in those privileged positions to attend as well. So I just want to make sure that we publicly recognize our leaders who were there on Central Campus and at our event as well.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Steve and Latanya, for your reflections on Juneteenth and giving us your perspective on the Black Voices Resource Group. If you want to learn more about the resource group, you can go to headlines at mmheadlines.org. That's mmheadlines.org.
Okay, so now it's time for the lightning round, where we ask one of our guests 4 quick-fire questions. Steve, you lost the game of tic-tac-toe before the show, so you'll be in the hot seat today. Are you ready to go?
Let's do it.
All right. Summer is here, so of course it's vacation season. What is the best trip you have ever been on?
Jamaica.
Awesome. So July is National Ice Cream Month. So we want to know, what's your favorite ice cream flavor?
I just had this conversation the other day, so this is easy. We're going to go with Deer Tracks.
What is Deer Tracks?
It's like I should know this, right? It's like it has peanut butter, like peanut butter cups and caramel and chocolate, and it's like vanilla ice cream. It's delicious.
That does sound delicious. Now I want to go find that.
Yeah. I know about Moose Tracks, but
Yeah, I had never heard of Deer Tracks. I like it. All right. If you could go back and meet anyone from history, who would it be and why?
Yeah, that's a good one. Since we're talking about I think Black voices and Juneteenth, we're going to stay with that theme and say Martin Luther King, just a tremendous leader and visionary, and would just be great to have a conversation with him.
good answer. So finally, if you weren't working for Michigan Medicine, what would be your dream job?
An NBA owner.
Now, is that because you'd have enough money to own a team, or
Yeah.
because
It's all the things, Daniel. First, I almost said like executive or coach, but I don't want the headaches of a coach, right? Being in a locker room and all that. So I just want to own the team. That means I have a lot of money. I could just sit in the front row like Mark Cuban and cheer it would just be amazing.
I agree. I think that would be a lot of fun, and you don't have the day-to-day pressure that like a GM or the coach would have.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like it. All right, thank you so much, Steve, for playing along and for sharing information on the Black Voices Resource Group. If you want to learn more about that group, go to mmheadlines.org. That's mmheadlines.org. You can also go to the Michigan Medicine OHE, the Office for Health Equity and Inclusion SharePoint page, which will have all sorts of information on that resource group and more. Isn't that right, Brandon?
That's true. We've got 8 total that you can pick from.
Outstanding.
We're
All
trying
right.
them all.
Yeah. Now, Brandon, we asked Steve to describe the best trip he's ever been on. Now, I know you are a huge traveler as well. So what would you say is your best trip?
That is a very difficult question, but I'm gonna go more location based and say that my favorite places I've ever been, I have to pick 2, are Hawaii and Iceland. Those are the most dramatic, incredible places I've been. So that would have to be my choice. How about you?
Yeah, so I'll go sort of experiences. And it was really cool. So for our honeymoon, my wife and I went out to Arizona and we road tripped around the entire state. And it was really cool. It was in October and we experienced like all 4 seasons within a week of each other. It was amazing. We had 100-degree heat in Phoenix. Then we drove up to Flagstaff, and when we woke up in the morning, we had 2 inches of snow on our car. Then we went up to the Grand Canyon and it was 55 and gray and, just sort of, and then we went down to Sedona and it was 75 and sunny. So it was like we did all these sort of things all within a week, and we had all 4 seasons. It was just really cool. And Arizona is beautiful. I mean, I could spend time out there forever and sort of not get sick of it. I would get sick of the 100-degree heat, but then you go up north and it's a little bit better. So I would definitely say that was my favorite trip.
Absolutely great. And national parks are one of my passions too.
Oh, yes.
The Grand Canyon is a good one.
Yeah, it almost like feels fake. Like even when you're there and you're like looking out at it, it feels like you're looking at a painting. Like it just doesn't seem real. It's amazing.
And none of the pictures you ever see do it justice.
No, absolutely not.
All right, well, now it's time for our weekly trivia contest. This week's question is, what is the name of the new intranet hub at Michigan Medicine? Once again, what is the name of the new intranet hub at Michigan Medicine? You can find the answer in headlines, and once you know it, send it to headlines@med.umich.edu for a chance to win a prize.
That's all we have for today. Thank you so much to Steve and Latanya for joining us. And thanks, as always, to our listeners and viewers for everything you do for patients, families, and each other. We'll see you next time.